In the early morning hours of June 22, 1941, as Operation Barbarossa unleashed its fury across the Soviet frontier, thousands of Soviet T-26 tanks sat in military bases across the Western Soviet Union. These machines, once the pride of Soviet armor, would soon become symbols of one of the most catastrophic military disasters in history. The story of the T-26 begins in the late 1920s, when the Soviet Union purchased several Vickers 6-ton tanks from the United Kingdom. Soviet engineers modified and improved upon the British design, creating what would become the T-26 light tank. With its 45mm main gun and robust construction, the T-26 was considered one of the most advanced tanks of its time when it entered service in 1931. By 1941, the Soviet Union had manufactured over 11,000 T-26 tanks, making it the most numerous tank in the Red Army. They had served with distinction during the Spanish Civil War and the Winter War with Finland, earning a reputation as reliable and effective fighting vehicles. Yet, despite their numbers and previous success, these tanks were about to face a challenge that would prove overwhelming. The German invasion caught the Soviet military in a state of transition. Many T-26 tanks were poorly maintained, with spare parts shortages plaguing maintenance crews. More critically, many tank crews lacked proper training, and commanding officers had little experience in coordinating large-scale armored operations. These factors would prove devastating in the opening months of what the Soviets would call the Great Patriotic War. As German forces advanced eastward, the limitations of the T-26 became painfully apparent. Its thin armor, once adequate against 1930s anti-tank weapons, proved fatally vulnerable to German 37mm and 50mm anti-tank guns. The tank's gasoline engine was highly flammable, and its narrow track struggled in the muddy conditions of the Russian countryside. German Panzer III and Panzer IV tanks, with their superior armor and communication equipment, regularly outmaneuvered and destroyed T-26 formations. The statistics tell a devastating story. Within the first 6 months of the German invasion, the Soviet Union lost approximately 10,000 Bataillon T-26 tanks. Some were destroyed in combat, others abandoned due to mechanical failures, and many were simply left behind during the chaotic Soviet retreat. Entire tank divisions effectively ceased to exist within weeks of the invasion's start. The human cost was equally staggering. Tank crews, many of them young and inexperienced, faced a terrible choice when their vehicles were hit. Attempt to escape through narrow hatches while under fire, or remain inside their burning tanks. Veterans who survived would later speak of the horrifying scenes they witnessed. Columns of T-26 tanks burning along rural roads, their crews trapped inside. Yet, the T-26 disaster ultimately contributed to the Soviet Union's eventual victory. The harsh lessons learned in 1941 led to dramatic changes in Soviet tank doctrine and design. The T-34 tank, which would become legendary during World War II, incorporated many lessons learned from the T-26's vulnerabilities. Soviet training programs were overhauled, and tactical doctrine was reformed to emphasize coordination between armor, infantry, and artillery. Today, the few surviving T-26 tanks stand in museums across Russia and Europe, silent witnesses to both technological progress and human tragedy. Their story serves as a powerful reminder that numerical superiority alone does not guarantee military success. The loss of these 10,000 tanks in just 6 months represents not just a military disaster, but a human catastrophe that helped shape the course of World War II's Eastern Front. The T-26 disaster also offers enduring lessons about military preparedness, technological adaptation, and the human cost of war. As modern armies continue to evolve and develop new weapons systems, the fundamental lessons of 1941 remain relevant. The importance of proper training, maintenance, and tactical doctrine in determining the outcome of military conflicts. In the end, the story of the T-26 tank disaster is more than just a tale of military losses. It is a testament to the brutal learning curve of modern warfare, the courage of the soldiers who fought and died in these vehicles, and the incredible resilience of a nation that would eventually emerge victorious despite such devastating early losses. The vanishing of 10,000 tanks in 6 months marked the end of an era in Soviet armored warfare, but it also helped forge the military machine that would eventually help defeat Nazi Germany.